The topic that I chose is the reality of the township. You see, when it comes to this topic, we all have stories to tell about Charles anyway, because that guy, he's the inspiration, the motivation behind this topic. I didn't enjoy my 2021 because of Charles anyway, because he kept on asking me about stuff that is happening in the hood, and I've been inviting him, but with no success. Just to say that actually he agreed to come to the Eastern Cape with me this December. So I'm taking him with, he says he wants to become indoor as well. So I'm taking him to the bush. That's what he said he actually wants. So, yeah. So the reality of the township, guys. The reality of the township. It is the way that you guys perceive, I believe. It is the way that you guys are seeing it. It is the place that is actually demotivating, especially to the youth, especially if you're someone that is ambitious and stuff. So it is a place that is so demotivating. And there's a lot of jealousy that is actually taking place in the hood. That's something that we cannot shy away from. This is something that is actually really happening. But even though those things do happen, but there's a lot of good things that are coming out of the township, and these are the things that are not covered by the media. It's so sad because when you actually trying to search or to check stuff about the township, you always get negative things that are actually happening. I feel like moving around. You guys said there's gonna be a podium, but this one is very small. I just wanna be moving all around the show now. But they know it's fine, man. Yeah, it's very small. So this is what everyone knows. This is what everybody, I believe, knows. This is what the media chooses to actually show you. And these things, they do happen, eh? They are a reality. If you see on my left first picture there, what you see is a teenage pregnancy. That is a reality. That thing it's actually happening, and we can't blame the government because the government is trying by all means to do the sex talks at school. They're teaching about sex stuff. Even they're issuing condoms. Each and every clinic that you go to, there are condoms. There are contraceptives. But the youth is so ignorant, they choose not to. But when I was doing my research, and I also find out something that is actually shocking, that most of the youth, they fall pregnant in the townships or in the hood or in the locations because they see it as their scapegoat when it comes to poverty. They're getting pregnant because they know that once they get pregnant, they will have that benefit of earning that money from SASSA. Which is a sad thing, because if you're looking at it, that amount that they're getting at SASSA it's very small, guys, to be realistic. It's very small. So that leads to them coming up with a trick of having multiple babies so that they can earn more, of which it's a reality. It's happening in the hood. When we sing, okay, no, I'm gonna actually skip the other one because it summarizes everything that we're gonna be talking about. There's a lot of drug abuse, guys. Those things do happen. We have the problem, which is a social issue of drug abuse. The unemployment, we can say, is the cause because the kids in the hood, they're depressed, if we can start there. Just a short story. I think I was also 6 years. When I was 6 years, that was the first time that I was exposed to a corpse, to someone who's actually dead right in front of our house. So you must just think about it mentally. How is that thing going to affect you maybe at a later stage as a human being or as a young boy that is actually growing up in the hood? And the other cause, we can say maybe it's family, the poverty, the problems and struggles, they are the cause. Not having, and another thing that is a serious issue that is happening in the township is not having facilities for the kids when they when they actually coming maybe back from school. We don't have proper facilities for them. There's no youth centers like in other places. There are people that are trying to opening up stuff so that they can help the youth, but it seems like even the ones that are here, the government is trying because there are parks that are actually being built, but our older brothers, our siblings, the ones that maybe that are into drugs now, they're taking those stuff out and then they're selling them straight to scraps. So there's no development that is actually happening in the hood. So, and that might also lead to the young ones going straight to drugs. We have gangsterism. As you can see there, even that guy, he's got something written on his chest that, who will carry my body to the grave? Satanism. Ooh, just some right stuff like that. I feel like the boys in the hood, they possessed with something, because that's one thing that I don't understand. That's one thing that I will never understand it. I so wish that the good Lord will not actually give me kids that will become gangsters. Teenagers and elders that were maybe by chance become the president or future leaders of this country, they get into drugs, and it's sad. And when I was doing my research, unfortunately, some of the clips I couldn't actually finish so that I can put on my slides, and they were also long. What I find out is most guys, they're all complaining about peer pressure. That's why they're joining gangs. And when they said that about the peer pressure, I also relate, because I do have a friend that we were growing up together, and then he ended up becoming a gangster himself, and now he's no more. He was killed. And others, they say they're joining gangs because they want the protection, of which I relate. When it comes to that, I relate directly. I think I was doing grade 11. Yeah, I was doing grade 11 when I was approached also by the guys. I was approached by the guys that saying that I must actually join a gang. And then I told them straight that that's something, because I'm a coward. I can't be fighting with people out there, man. Because these guys, they're carrying sharp objects, they've got guns and stuff at a very young age. I don't know who's supplying them, but they do have this stuff. So I told them straight that I cannot. And then for me, I think I joined. I also joined, but for a month, because for a month. And then I joined for a month because I just wanted protection, that's all. Because I also wanted protection. So I just joined for a month, and then I told my mom that, okay, cool, you know what, now you must actually give me taxi fare, because I can't walk. Because the reason that I joined was, for me, when I'm actually going to school and coming back, I don't actually maybe gotten by these guys and then maybe getting stabbed or shot or something. So that's why I also joined the gang. Moving to our Stop Gender-Based Violence slide. That's a serious issue that is happening in the townships. I don't know how we can maybe try and work together when it comes to that. Every day, whether it's 16 days of activism or not, we always getting stories of people that are getting killed by their partners, of people, of young females that are actually maybe getting tortured or stabbed. For an example, the story of that lady that was starting in Forte, the one that was botched up or was cut into pieces by by her boyfriend. You see stories like that. Those are stories that really pains me. And moving to our last picture, the LGBTQI. That's another thing. That's another issue that we have in the townships. I don't know whether, or maybe I must start to blame the government, because I feel like they're not doing enough when it comes to educating our people. There was a campaign that actually, I think maybe HIV and AIDS was new at that time, and then it was a scrutinized campaign. The way that they pushed that campaign, it was everywhere. Even still today, I'm still scared of HIV and AIDS, because that scrutinized, they ran a successful campaign when it came to that. I don't know whether it was because maybe there was not much corruption that time, I don't know. But when it comes to LGBTQI, I feel like the government is failing our people, hey? But shout out to the private organizations that are trying by all means to educate our people about that community. Shout out to guys that are trying by all means to start to reveal themselves now, so that they can also be accepted in the society, because that's another problem, because the guys, they're so scared to come out and say, okay, I am this way, because they fear that you will maybe get stabbed, or maybe you will have the whole community against you and stuff like that. Those things do happen. Okay, growing up in the township is like that. You become wise at a very young age. I can relate when it comes to that as well. I became very wise at a very young age. The reason I say that, it's because when you're growing up in the hood, you get to see what everyone's route, or what's everyone's path, or what everyone's doings, actually, where they're leading up. Because when you growing up in the hood, there's so many things that are happening at once. There's guys, you're being exposed to so many things at once. You're being exposed to the guys that chose maybe to become criminals. Actually, you get to see what is happening to them. You also get to see people that maybe told themselves that they motivated enough, they want to work hard and get out of that place. And then you also get to see other people that are our role models. So you get to see people that are our role models at a very young age, so that you become very wise at a very young age. And it also gives you the privilege of making choices in life, because once you start to get to be exposed to these different paths that people are actually walking or going, you start to be wise when it comes to making your own decisions about your life. You learn to differentiate the right from the wrong, and then those things, they would lead to you making the right or good choices about yourself. The spirit of Ubuntu. The spirit of Ubuntu is something that lives in the townships, or in the communities, or in the locations. As you can see on my first photo there's a community feeding scheme. If you can go to communities that you know, you might find something like that actually do happen. It does take place, because that shows that there is a spirit of Ubuntu, because you start to, it's very nice in a way that people of that location, they start to realize that there are other people that doesn't have means in life. So that's why they're coming up with the community feeding schemes. And if you see next to it, there's a community garden. The community members, they also come together and maybe see an open land, and then they decide that, okay, you know what, let's come up with a community garden. As you all know that prices, especially when it comes to veg, it's so expensive. So they're trying by all means to afford, or maybe they're trying by all means to survive. And the reason for those community gardens is because they want mostly to help other households that doesn't have means. That's what I know. The one that I actually part of, we want to help families that doesn't have means. And then if you see on my last one, as you guys all know, that this season they're gonna get drunk and then sleep without turning off their stoves. They're gonna burn one another and stuff. So the spirit of Ubuntu also lives there. I so wish that maybe I can take you guys, but you can't plan for stuff like that to happen. I so wish that I can actually take you when maybe there's an incident where maybe there's shacks or some houses that have been burnt. So you can see how people in the community are united. They come together, they buy stuff differently, or people also come with what they can offer, so they can help these other guys that maybe are affected by a situation like that. The spirit of Ubuntu lives in the townships. there is a space for everyone. The reason for that, actually that also happens. If you can go to Khayelitsha now, it is a very big township. It is a very big township, and there is a development. Now there's shacks that are being called sanitizer. There's a shacks that is being called, there are shacks that are being called COVID. There are shacks that are actually named by our leaders as well, Ramaphosa, Malema. There's a lot of different areas that have been developed that shows that there is a space for everyone. Even if you, my friend, you want maybe to have a house there, you can actually come, bruh. There's no problem. We will just give you a panga with something so we can actually chop the wood and we can build it for you, my friend. So there is a space for everyone. And the people in the townships, they actually have these small shacks that they're staying in, but the way that they're utilizing that space is very motivating, because maybe you might find there's 6 people or 8 people living in one shack, but the way that they will utilize that space, it's so motivating. You can actually see these are people that know how to live with one another, and people can share in the townships. There are inspiring stories. Yeah, we know that stuff that is actually happening, all the bad things and stuff, of which I'm not gonna dwell on them. But there are inspiring stories that are happening in the hood. As you can see, I've got different photos of good things that are happening, and these are the things that are inspiring the youth. And in the township, there's a lot of people to look up to. There are people that have worked their way up, whether in businesses. There are people that are inspirational even when it comes to the youth, when it comes to education, people that went to school and then studied so hard. I'm studying the foundations that help students with their studies. There's also inspiring stories of people that are into businesses and stuff. Let's start with that 18 Gangster Museum. That 18 Gangster Museum was started by my friend, Wandisile Nqaketo. He saw an opportunity and then he grabbed it. I believe you heard me when I said before in the township, okay, now I'll be specific, I'll be talking about Khayelitsha. There's a lot of development that is actually happening. There's a lot of development that is happening. So he saw a gap, or he saw an opportunity. Then he opened the museum. He actually bought a container, and then they tried to make it look nice on the inside so that people that are not exposed to these things, people that maybe wishes to actually visit the hood, he can actually maybe take down, he can actually help them on educating them and telling them the history of Khayelitsha, and also maybe get a tour with them so they can actually show you around on all these beautiful places that we have there and the development that has actually happened over these years. There's a Velokaya life cycling. Velokaya life cycling. You remember when I said on my first slide that the reason that most kids are going into drugs and stuff is because there's no facilities for them when maybe they coming back to school or maybe on their free time. So there's a madala that actually came up with Velokaya. His name is Ulwando Nqaketo. Ulwando Nqaketo came up with Velokaya cycling, of which cycling in the township is not a thing, eh? So when he started that stuff, we were like, no man, who will get into cycling and stuff? Whereas there's Amapeki where we can play these all other things. I think they've been in the business for something, let's say 3 years now, but the way that they have grown, it shows that this is what people needed. This is what people they were needed in the hood. He's got also sponsors from big corporates that actually sponsored them. Yeah, he's got big corporates of people that actually sponsored them. So their organization grew up to be the stable business now. Actually, they're running it as a business now because when you're entering, you must actually pay a fee and stuff. We have my Sikki. Actually, this guy, he's my neighbor. He's in my neighborhood. Also, Usikelela, his motivation to the youth in a way that he saw a gap as well in the township. Then he introduced coffee, of which that's something that at first everyone was like, no, man. How can this guy wants to open a coffee cafe in the township? Because we believe we all have our coffees and stuff at home. I'll never go to a coffee cafe and spend a 25 rand and stuff. But his place today is a tourist attraction. One is the one that have that 8 Gangster Museum. When he's got people maybe for tours, they always go to Sikkis Coffee Cafe. And yeah, we may not be the market for him, but the way that he's actually grew on his business, it actually it's so motivating, especially for the youth. And his vision is to pass his knowledge and experiences to the youth of the township. And he says, and I quote, he wants to create a tourism attraction through his coffee cafe in Khayelitsha. We've got, oh my God, the 5, it's 5-star. Yeah, I can say it's 5-star. It's a restaurant that was opened by Umama O Abigail. Her restaurant is now grew to a point where it's one of the tourism destinations if you want to visit the hood. So she decided to open this forum restaurant because he believed on giving back to the place that he's coming from. From the place that she's coming from. She's also coming from she's also coming from the township. And the restaurants, her restaurant provided jobs in the community. It brings infusion of cash into the economy of Khayelitsha. And guys, when it comes to the townships, I'm not going to shy away from the fact that that's where the economy is. That's because if you actually see, there's a lot of big businesses now that are actually developing that place now. We've got Khayelitsha Mall that was revamped 2 months ago. It's very nice now. There's other shops. I'm talking about big brands that are coming into a Khayelitsha. There's big brands that are coming in. That shows that there is money. Okay, cool, Yves. I'm just gonna finish now, bro. There are okay, yeah. So this is a duo team from Khayelitsha as well, which is Umshai and Otela. There are kids there is a youth that is actually on the entertainment. They want to actually progress and stuff. So for them to focus on the people that are not coming from the hood. So these are the guys that they can look up to. The way that they have grown, it is an inspiration and the motivation to the youth of Khayelitsha. They even getting awards from different organizations for their work that they're actually doing for the hood. And what I wanna leave with you guys is that thanks, Charles, for motivating me to actually do the talk on this. Hopefully, one day you will actually visit the hood, and he's not the only one. I think it's half of our class. I was like, I think it's half of our class. So what I can actually say is, let's actually move away from that perception that we have. Thinking that the townships are all these scary places and stuff. There are good things that are actually happening. And I would love to have whoever that is here today to the hood, maybe let's say this weekend, so guys, you can actually see what is actually happening there. And I thank you.